Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Cartooning Courses. I am Nate Fakes. Thank you for joining me today on this Tuesday, which is when this comes out. But I'm actually recording this on a Sunday. So if I have you fooled, it's Sunday here, but you're probably watching this on Tuesday. Or maybe a different time. I don't know. It could be a rerun. Maybe you just stumbled upon this video. Who knows? But anyways, thanks for joining me here at Cartooning Courses. And today what I wanted to talk about was time. How the hell do you find time to do cartooning? You know, you're working, you have a family, you have other activities to do. There's always something going on. And to find the time for cartooning, and then not only find the time for cartooning, but let's say you want to take it up a few notches to the next level and maybe get clients or be a professional cartoonist. Like, how do you end up doing that with no time to do anything? Because none of us have time, if you think about it. Like, we're all busy people, right? There's always something going on. And also with that too, you do have to take time out for yourself to lounge, to relax, to enjoy a Netflix show, whatever it is. You got to have those moments of not doing anything too, to rest your mind. So I just want to talk about it a little bit. Like, I've seen it before, and I know what you're going through if you feel like you just don't have the time. Like, nothing will ever happen with my work, my career as a cartoonist or illustrator, or any whatever creative outlet you have, just because you feel like there's just no time for any of it. I have struggled with that my whole life, up until the past few years. I finally have come to a peace with knowing that there's never going to be enough time. Never. And even when you're making it, like quote unquote making it, there's still no time because something else will come along. Maybe you'll have an illness. Maybe you'll have housework to do constantly, upgrades on your living conditions. You'll have to move, change locations. God, who knows? There's always something going on. Even the most successful people will tell you, like authors, other cartoonists, like they have a lot of things that they haven't been able to do because there's just no time for it. And you would think someone that's just able to work full time doing their art, they would have time for other things. Rarely doesn't happen. Sometimes you can get an art grant, or if you are nailing it as a cartoonist or whatever, and you have the time to do everything, great. But all of us, me especially included, I have had to work numerous day jobs to get where I'm at. And even when I'm doing well, I've worked day jobs because, if you're freelancing too, you're going to have dry streaks. There's times where things don't, it's not just all the clients are coming in at once, or, you'll experience droughts more than likely. It happens. Consistency with clients is really tough. It can happen, but it's tough to do, and it's tough to get there. And so, you may have to work sometimes at a day job, and a good example of just making it work out is like J.K. Rowling of Harry Potter. I mean, she was a single mom, and she was working, I think, as a waitress or something, and then writing at the same time. She found the time to do it. Stephen King, he was teaching, and then he was able to write in the evenings. With cartoonists too, if you read any cartoonist bio, I mean, typically there's something else going on before they become a cartoonist. Stefan Pastis comes to mind. He's one of my favorites. Pearls Before Swine, but he was a lawyer. And then he was drawing. He didn't like. He went to school to be a lawyer and he hated it. Come to find out, so he drew a lot, and eventually became a syndicated cartoonist. And even when he was syndicated, though, I know he didn't just quit his job right away because of that. Like, it took a little bit of time. And I've recently experienced that too. I've quit a full-time cartooning position, actually, and then, instantly got on the freelance work. And I've had to pick up as much as I could, but it wasn't easy. And I probably would have sometimes, I've been asked about this recently a lot, and would I have gone about it differently? In hindsight, no, but then again, maybe so. Like, it's just tough when you just quit and you don't have any a huge bank account or anything like that. So to find the time to make it full time. So what I'm getting at is, time can be found. Whether you're a morning person, evening person, whatever it may be, wake up earlier if you need to be, stay up later working. Again, you may have a family, you may have, two jobs to support yourself, two full-time jobs. This day and age wouldn't be too much of a surprise. I know I was doing basically that through college. So you can, do what you can, but don't let it like internally affect your creativity either. Because this is what the big struggle I had was I always thought to myself, man, talking like to the universe and God, like, why am I, waiting tables when I could be spending this time cartooning? You know what I mean? And if I was spending that time cartooning, I would be to where I want to be so much quicker. And the reality is, most of the successful people you see, creative people, they become successful through working, waiting tables, crummy jobs or whatever it may be. And the limited time they have actually works in their favor. Whereas if you just have someone on a trust fund or something that has all the time in the world to sit there and draw and nothing else, you don't hear that story often. So it makes you think like, you may think in your perfect world, you would just have all day long to be a cartoonist and that would be it. And you can just do every project you ever wanted to do in your life. And the reality is, even if you had that, I don't think it would work out as well as you may imagine. As weird as that is, it's just, I feel like the struggle and the hard work it takes to accomplish things, working other things or doing whatever it is that you're doing, is all kind of part of it, It's all part of this big journey we have. And that's where I always say, like, everyone's journey is different. And you can't get upset about anything when you're not hitting, where you're at, where with cartooning right away. It doesn't happen like that. It takes time. I mean, I'm 40 years old. And it took me, I was working crummy day jobs and just several years ago. I was stocking shelves at a grocery store, and I was still doing professional work too on top of that. But I had this day job for consistency. So just keep that in mind. Like, it's all part of the time factor. You can find the time. You really can. Even if it's just a couple hours a week, put it on the calendar. Saturday mornings, get up at 6 a.m. if you have to and just do what you can, depending how busy you are. But I think the message I'm trying to really instill on you is don't get frustrated about being so busy. And don't get the mentality of, if you had all the time in the world, you'd be where you want to be at right now. Because I don't feel like it works that way. I feel like you just really have to just work with what you have. There's other factors. I mean, be thankful that you can do what you can do. There's other limitations some people have that, some people would love to be able to draw and just can't. Or, some people would love to be able to play basketball and can't. I mean, I'm a good example of that. And I'm 6'1", and I can't play basketball. So, not that I wanted to be an NBA professional, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just, we all have our limitations and everything. And you just can't be discouraged if you're not where you want to be by a certain amount of time. And you can't get upset about the time factor in your life either, about not, I don't have time to draw and come up with good ideas and be a cartoonist. There's no time. It's a lousy excuse and you can't use it. There's going to be some time in there somewhere. You got to figure it out. And again, maybe it's just a few hours a week, but just put your life in perspective and keep that in mind. And just keep in mind too that, again, read about it. Pull up someone's bio that you love. And I'm sure if they're very successful, you'll find for the most part, I'd say the percentage of real successful people have had a lot of other things that they've had to do to get by before they became successful at what they're doing. Whether that be an author, a cartoonist, an artist, illustrator, an actor, anything, you name it. The creative profession is really funny that way. It's just the creativity I feel like is just, it's all, to be a creative person and especially to have that as a profession, I feel like going through all the crap is really what makes it go that extra level, go up. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents on it. I was reading an article the other day about that, about just, it's funny how, because again, I've always thought that, like, man, I thought back in high school, I've mentioned this before, I think, but back in high school, I wanted to quit high school because I thought the time I spent in school was a waste. I could be spending that time cartooning. I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm not getting anything out of these classes. But I I stayed with high school, I graduated, and I eventually actually went to college. Now that I didn't graduate from. I did go to college, but I didn't graduate. But long story short, I always had that mindset of I should have had more, time should have been more on my side. It's not fair, dang it. If I had the time, I'd be doing more, but that's just not true. So keep that in mind wherever you're at. I know you're busy. I know you are. Come on, you got to be busy, right? And just work with what you have. Find that time. You can find it anywhere. Wake up earlier, stay up later if you need to. Find the time to do what you want to do. Get to where you want to go. And you can get there. I mean, you really can. You can do what you want to do. I feel like some things won't happen for you. They haven't happened for me all the time, but a lot of things will too. And a lot of things take a turn for the better in a weird way too. Like you want to do a certain thing, but it doesn't go that way as planned. That's life, right? I mean, come on. We all know that, but it does. Other things can happen, Other things can come along and surface. And so anyways, you'd be surprised. I think it's just a matter of doing the work. And again, if you're watching this, you probably want to be a cartoonist and just do the work, work hard. Devote time for it. And I've seen people give up because they don't make it by a certain time. Like, don't put a time factor on yourself either. Like, just don't give up. Don't just stop, because you're not going to do anything then. And I've seen people stop. They're like, it ain't going to happen for me. I tried and I didn't get that big paycheck or anything. And that's not the way of going about it. So keep that in mind. That being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'm going to get some more coffee because it's Sunday, and damn it, I want some more coffee. Sundays are made for coffee and chilling out, right? I think so. All right, find that time for your cartooning, and I'll talk to you soon.